Oh, that's right. You know what time it is. It's time for the Sugarcreek Forge Build-Along 2012. I got my hand on the fire, putting the fire to the steel. Come on, Sugarcreek Forge, won't you tell me what's the deal? Right. Get some. We're gonna have some fun. Build myself a blade, you know it's gonna...
Hey everybody, it's a cold day in Sugarcreek, Ohio. It's snowing outside and blowing and freezing, and I'm glad to be inside making a video about knife making. So it's time to kick this off, our series. We're going to be talking today about designing your knife, and we're going to keep it simple and no CAD or anything like that. We're going to use pencil and paper, and of course your imagination. So so thankful to all of our sponsors. Check it out: Corporate Swag, Texas Knife Makers Supply. Awesome guys. They are providing materials for this build and sponsoring us. Be sure to check them out and order some stuff and tell them Sugarcreek Forge sent ya. So let's jump in and design a knife. So before you put pencil to paper, I recommend highly that you watch a great video on designing a knife by Mr. John 714. I'm going to try to get him to attach that video to this one as a VR, and if not, I'll have a link to it in the comments. It's a great video, and he's an awesome knife maker with a lot of great tips. So check that out. Start a drawing. So this is going to be simple and low tech. Just get yourself a piece of paper, put your piece of steel that you're going to be working with on the paper. You can measure it out and see it's about 8 inches long, a little over an inch, inch wide, and the thickness on this is 3/32. So just simply put it down on a piece of paper, and you're going to trace around it with a pencil. It's going to give you the simple designing template that will show you the constraints of designing a knife to fit this size of a piece of steel. It's going to look something like that, and you're going to be ready to go. Then just mark a mark at the halfway point, and we'll draw a line through the middle of that, letting you know where the halfway is. Now, a simple way to tell how your handle should be is just to take a ruler like this and grip it. You can see I've got medium-sized hands. They're kind of square, and about 4 inches is pretty good for me. Holding it like this, and then you can hold it in the different ways that you hold a knife, and look at the measurements to tell you how your handle should be, what it should look like, what the size should be. If your hands are smaller or bigger, you just make custom adjustments according to what it looks like on this ruler. Then just transfer that measurement to the rectangle that you've drawn, traced around your steel, and you've got your custom handle length on your design. I added a middle line down the center of my rectangle here, and you can do that too or not, and then just begin to sketch. Have fun, draw out some different shapes and see what you like. Okay, so let's avoid some common design flaws. You can see that the blade design on the left is too narrow and the handle is too fat, and the blade on the right, the blade is too wide and the handle is too narrow. Don't do that. For this build along, I recommend that you do something simple with a straight back blade or a little bit of a drop point, but nothing too fancy or with too many curves. The top knife has a wedge-shaped handle slightly, the bottom one's kind of a tanto, and these are examples of something that you could make. Here's kind of two sort of bushcraft designs. It's going to be a little tough to make these with a 1-inch wide piece of steel simply because it'll be tough to get the curves right, but this is something that you could design as well. A smaller knife with some curves will fit into this 1-inch piece of steel nicely too. You just make it a little bit undersized, enough to get those curves in there, and there's also a guard. Maybe you should design a knife something like this. You can see that there's nothing fancy about the handle. It's just straight. There's a little bit of a clip point, and then a little bit of a curve for the point to give it some belly. A lot of knives in history looked like this. Here's the blade that I designed for this build-along to make myself. This is a brand new design. Well, I wanted to design this knife and make something that I had never made before. You can see that the handle tapers a tiny bit, then it comes up, has a little bit of a guard, and then a choil, kind of like you make on a forged knife. Up at the top, it's got a little bit of a drop point and then a curve that gives a little bit of belly. I wanted to make something I'd never made before for this build-along and to name this design after our build-along. My plan is also to give this as a prize. You can see that it fits my hand pretty well, especially for a smaller knife. It's hard to tell in the picture, but you can kind of get an idea of what that looks like. And I think I like this design a lot. It's fun to come up with something new and be creative along with all my friends on the build-along team. Okay, see how easy that was? Be sure to watch that video from Mr. John 714 and get yourself some paper, pencils, and sit down, drink a cup of coffee, and start designing some knives. Make a bunch of them and get zeroed in on the kind of knife that you want to make. We're not drawing on the steel right now, we're drawing on paper, and then we'll do a simple trick where we photocopy our design, shrink it a percentage or two, and it'll fit right onto the steel. Start assembling your materials. You can go to places like Sears, Home Depot, Lowe's, and find files and all the stuff you need for this build-along. You'll need a 1/8 inch drill bit and a 1/4 inch drill bit. Make sure that you have those and a file. Stay tuned for the next video, which will go over how to actually start laying out your knife on the steel, and then we'll profile the knife, drill some handle holes, and really get started working on it.
Sugarcreek Forge build-along 2012. I got my hand on the fire, putting the fire to the steel. Come on, Sugarcreek Forge, won't you tell me what's the deal?